America, remember this?
Had your kids, had your wife.
Now at the time, this brilliant young man stood between his sister and her would-be attacker. And you know what he didn't do? He didn't look at the man's skin color and rationalize why this man, uninvited, was in his sister's room. No, he saw him for what he was, an intruder, and handled him accordingly. He ushered us all a warning. We laughed and went about our business. But sometime last year, his words came into my mind, and I began to think about all the things that we have been through as a country since that time. And I realized he was right. See, for those who are old school,
Had your kids, had your wife.
a nod to hide the women and children. Way back in the beginning, anytime a group of people have been under attack, they hide the most vulnerable of their society, their community, the women and the children. Just in the off chance that as the men go out to protect them and perhaps no one comes back, there is still someone around who can rear up the kids so that that society, community has a future and can go on. But sad to say, we have been convinced that men who exhibit masculine energy are not worthy of listening to because they are toxic. See, it started back in the Me Too era. That was the first Trojan horse. You have to convince a society that men aren't important. And well, if you can convince them that they're toxic, almost criminal, just because they're masculine, just because that's the way they're built, you have to convince a society that a few miscreants who exhibit terrible behavior really summarizes all men who exhibit masculine behavior. So they took a few men and, like a FBI mapping wall, linked them to all men. So you were convinced that in order to rid ourselves as a society from these deviant men, we had to do away with all the things that made men masculine and not look back. So that the few men who dare speak up become made outcasts of society in every area of life, so as to make them null and void in terms of not only their energy, what they were built to do, which is to provide and protect, but also destabilize the foundation of what makes a society actually a society. See that song? It takes two to make a thing go wrong. Well, now women have been convinced that it only takes one. So you have a lot of women saying they don't need men, and they've been convinced that they can do just about anything a man can do. They've encouraged women, especially in pop culture, that women should abandon their feminine ways to act more masculine, causing strife amongst the remaining men who want to be men, who are men. So now you've got feminine women who are hyper radicalized to be masculine, tough in nature, to men who are left and want to be men. And the spectrum of that is that we have now said to women, okay, not only do you need to take on a masculine role, because we don't even see men as men anymore. Now, thanks to the next Trojan horse, which is the ideology that men can be women, you are no longer important. Give up your private bathrooms, give up your sports. Make way for the new woman who has no vagina, no breast, but with the magic of surgery can become a woman. Now, since the men are basically put out to pasture and the women are forced to share their lane or be identified as a bigot, the children have become the next target, per se. This Trojan horse are teaching kids that the gender that they were born in is the wrong one. But we don't allow them to vote, smoke, drink, and we are now teaching them, instead of ABCs, about the different sexual expressions that they're way too young to understand in their development. They are no longer allowed to be innocent. But because we have a society who has been taken hostage under the guise of modern day Trojan horses, the problem is people will not see this for what it really is. It is a spiritual warfare manifesting in a physical way for what is Jesus' divine order of what his creation should look like and be. When you squeeze everybody out of their own lane, men can't be men, women can't be women, children can't be children, you get nothing. Because nothing comes from nothing. And when Jesus made creation, he took nothing and made it something. So we have to see this for what it really is. And we have to call a thing a thing. And we have to hold people accountable in legal ways for robbing men, women, and children of their God-given lane by not kowtowing to this crazy drumbeat that makes no sense and gives no one the right to be the way Jesus created them.